You know what, Kyle? They said it couldn't be done, and guess what? It still isn't done. But could it happen? Tyler Myers go to the San Jose Sharks? We're going to talk about that next. It's Begsy and it's Bhawan, and you're listening to Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, Canucks writer and credentialed media member for Daily Hive Vancouver. And before we dive into the show today, we want to thank you for listening to Locked On Canucks. It's your team every day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. On today's episode, we got to talk about that rumored Tyler Myers deal. We know who apparently it was a 1-for-1 trade. We know who apparently the trade was for coming back from the San Jose Sharks. We're going to talk about the rumored deal. We're also going to get into some other potential cap dump moves the Canucks can make if they're trying to trade Tyler Myers. But first and foremost, before we get into it, Kyle Bhawan. I don't know if you love Tyler Myers as much as some people in the city, but hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm living, I'm chilling, I'm getting through life. Just bought another book today. Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, The Creative Way. I don't even know the title of this book, but I needed something to read. Okay. I need more peace in my life, and my life, I'm sorry. And I need to act accordingly. And that can only happen, when I read books. Anyways, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, not the book show, the Canucks show, Locked On Canucks. We'll get the comment corner at the end of the show. And man, oh man, is this going to be a waste of time? Is this going to be an effing waste of time, right? That's what all the kids say, right? Effing waste of time. Because what are we talking about here? What are we talking? Tyler Myers for a winger? Tyler Myers actually getting traded? No, not going to happen. Anyways, get into it.
Yeah, I had my doubts. I still have my doubts, but I think it's possible, Kyle. And if it's possible, then it's definitely worth talking about. So let's backtrack a little bit. So Frank Seravalli, before free agency, reported that the Canucks and Sharks apparently had a deal, including Tyler Myers, and he didn't know why it hadn't been done yet. And then Alvin came out and said that Tyler Myers is part of the team. On July 1st, after free agency, he was asked about it again. They said, there's apparently a deal for Tyler Myers. And Alvin says, if we were going to trade Tyler Myers, why is he still here? So then Frank Seravalli came back on radio yesterday and talked more about that report. He said that according to his intel, his sources, his little birds, as they might say, the trade was Tyler Myers for Kevin Labanc from the Sharks. So Kevin Labanc, we all remember him well from a few years back. I think he had 56 points in 77 games, and he signed a 1-year, $1 million deal. And we're going, who is this guy's agent? What's going on? Why Kevin Labanc's worth more than $1 million? And he wasn't as good the next season. They signed him anyways to a deal paying him $4.75 million a season, and he just hasn't lived up to the contract since. Battled a lot of injuries in 2021, 22. And then last season, he had 15 goals, 33 points, but he wasn't the same player that he was from 4 or 5 years ago before he signed that 1-year, $1 million deal. So it's an interesting trade here. I mean, I think from the Canucks perspective, you'd be happy to get off of Tyler Myers in general. Get that extra $1.25, $1.3 million in cap space. Kevin Labanc, a bit of an awkward fit on the Canucks, right? Like, he's just another undersized winger. So you trade for Kevin Labanc, then all of a sudden you have Connor Garland, Anthony Beauvillier, Nils Höglander, and then Kevin Labanc. So you're going to have, 4 forwards potentially in your lineup who are sub 6 feet and small. It's an awkward fit, but at the end of the day, the big win would be to get off Tyler Myers' contract. And again, Kevin Labanc's contract also expires at the end of this year. Now, here's one reason why I think this trade could happen, Kyle. But if it does happen, it's going to happen after Tyler Myers' bonus gets paid out in September. So just for those who don't know, Tyler Myers, he's getting paid $6 million next season. $5 million of that comes in a bonus. I've heard reports of September 1st to September 15th, but sometime in September he gets paid that bonus. But after that, he's only owed $1 million. Kevin Labanc is on the other end of the spectrum, so no signing bonus. This guy's actually owed almost $6 million in salary next season. Yeah. So you can see from the Sharks' perspective, maybe the Canucks want to get off some cap. They're going to pay a few $1 million more to take on the bank, but they get that extra kind of 1.25 to 1.3 million in cap space to work with going into next season. So I think this trade might have
I don't
some
know.
legs, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in September. That's my thought on it.
If the Canucks pull this off, you know who deserves a round of applause, and this is going to piss a lot of people off. People are going to unsubscribe here, but Francesco Aquilini deserves a round of applause. Because essentially, what he's paying like $10 million for a $5 million player because you got to like pay Myers first, and you got to pay the rest of LeBank's contract. It's a lot. It's a lot of work to get a winger. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I don't believe in this rumor at all. That's where I'm at. I'm at with this. It's just it doesn't make sense. I feel like there's other ways to do this, and Alvin probably doesn't want to go to his owner and ask for essentially another $5 million check when if they want to save them $1 million, they can waive this guy. And we talked about this yesterday. We talked about this yesterday. Tyler Myers, if he's not one of the best 6 defensemen out of camp, and the Canucks want to save a little bit of money, we're talking about the money they would save similar to this type of deal. Just waive him. You don't need LeBanc. And Aquilini probably doesn't need to write another, $5 million in checks next season. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Look at you, Kyle. Look at you going. You got Francesco Aquilini's back there, eh?
No, like it's just the truth. Like I don't see him doing that post OEL right away as well. I'm in a recession. I'm struggling with money. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a bit lower than usual. Everyone is, and that includes some of the people up there. This guy's writing $1 million checks, and he's already done so for OEL. You know what I'm saying? For players that he's not using, I just think it's not going to be the easiest thing to do to ask for an extra $5 million if it's not that necessary, because the player that you're acquiring is not he's not a play driver. Like Kevin LeBanc doesn't really add value to this team. They got a bunch of wingers. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this would make more sense if that player could do a little bit of something for the Canucks, and a little bit of something that they probably need is either another defenseman or a third line center. A more offensively inclined center. But again, this does not make any sense to Kyle Bhawan. Does it make any more sense to you? Because I feel like I laid it out and I just put an X to this trade. Like that makes too much sense to me. Like this is not happening.
It makes sense to me if they have a plan for what they want to do with the other 1.25
Okay.
to 1.3 million, right? Like maybe they go inside of Max Comtois, who I think could be the next Sam Bennett, and they take a flyer on a guy like that. But yeah, they gotta have a plan with those dollars, right? I mean, the other, because we're going to talk about it on tomorrow's show in terms of the cap space, but even though the Canucks are over the cap right now, they should be able to get under the cap and maximize LTIR with the roster they have right now without clearing any additional cap space. So we'll see. On the other side here, I think we'll talk about a few other potential cap dump trades that could make more sense for the Canucks. Now, whether these teams want Tyler Myers is a completely different story. We'll touch on that on the other side, but first we got to shout out the sponsors. So I got to tell you, take your first swing at betting on MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right, just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting on everything from the money line to the over under to who you think is going to hit the first home run, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. Plus, there's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball.
Okay. We back, baby. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan, Locked On Canucks. Man, oh man, Kevin LeBanc, you're not coming to Vancouver. It's not happening. I'm putting an X to that. Okay, okay, come on. The building needs to be fixed, and you're gonna ask Aquilini for an extra $5 million. You know what I'm saying? An extra $5 million. The building needs to be fixed. They need to finish up the seats. And why not save that money? And also, maybe every Saturday night game at Rogers Arena, $5 drinks from 7 to 8:30. Okay, 6 to 8:30. Maybe we can use that money to, turn up, as the kids say, right? Turn the F up, dude. I'm gonna turn the F up at Rogers Arena.
Let's go.
Save the money.
Yeah,
man.
maybe,
on,
man.
Don't,
Although
don't
I
be
think
asking your boss for more money right now, Alvin. Come on, there's no way this guy can go ask for an extra $5 million. It's like he's entering what year 2.5. You got to make strides. You got to make strides on the ice, climb up the standings, and maybe Aquilini will loosely write more $1 million checks. Just the way it is.
It's just the way it is. You know what, Kyle? Let's go through a couple other cap dump scenarios and see if any of these trades make sense. So, uh, yeah, I'll rip through them quick here. So, Adam Henrique, okay, Anaheim Ducks. He's making almost an identical salary to Myers, 5.825
Okay.
million. I think this is a player that would be a really interesting fit on the Canucks. You know, a veteran player, third line center. I'm trying to see the value from Anaheim's perspective, but I think for them, it would be probably adding an asset, right? Yeah, you know what? I think it'd probably something like Myers in a second or Myers in a third for Adam Henrique. And at that point, you got to wonder if it's worth it, right? Because these are the kind of
Nah.
scenarios we're looking at here.
Nah, dude, it's
Um,
not worth it. It's not worth it. Like, yo, I think Canucks fans need to slow down. And, maybe this is my fault because I've been spewing it, right? Yo, next season matters. They're all in. You know what I'm saying? Blah blah blah. But I think the Canucks have put themselves in a position where they're set up to take the next step, and I don't think it's worth letting go of more assets that are draft picks or prospects to get off Tyler Myers' salary. It makes no sense. Just waive him. Get rid of him for free. Don't attach anything to him.
yeah,
Only trade him if
I
you because they got Teddy Bluger. Third line set. Just let him be that guy. I
Teddy
know there's
Bluger.
I know there's improvement to be made, and this team is not yet comparable to a favorite or a contender. But bro, one step at a time. And I think the last thing the Canucks should do is attach assets to make sure next season is completely optimized. Just relax. If they don't want Tyler Myers, waive him. Anyways, Begsy, continue. A little bit of
Yeah,
a lag here,
yeah, we're getting through it. Definitely, in the 4 months I've done Locked On, this is the laggiest it's been for me so far. But we're getting through it here on Locked On Canucks. Really, Kyle, what I wanted to do here is just see if there are other trades out there
Yeah.
that potentially make sense in the same vein as LeBang for Myers. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I tend to agree with you. Don't make another Eriksson Beagle Roussel mistake and attach sweeteners to get off of bad contracts, because at the end of the day, they're 1 year away from getting rid of Tyler Myers. And even before I rip these last 5 names here, Kyle, this might be a silly question. Do you think, Tyler Myers has been overplayed in this market? Not a good top four defenseman, just getting shelled out there, making bad decisions. Could he potentially be a good third pairing defenseman for the Canucks?
I was going to actually ask you this as well. And it does again stem from the conversation we had yesterday. If he doesn't earn it, waive him, blah, blah, blah. Because I feel like that's who he's competing with. I don't think he's definitely not competing for top 4 minutes anymore. He's had his opportunity for years. And I don't even see it unless he has the greatest offseason ever, right? Maybe this guy's doing 8,000 burpees a day, right? Something changes, but I just don't see it happening. He's not challenging for a top 4 spot. He is going to be competing with, the Woolallen. I'm going to say the name right. The Christian Woolallen, the Noah Juulsens, the Keto Hiroses, the Matt Irwins. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's competing with those guys, and there's a chance he's not going to be able to outcompete again those guys. That being said, if his minutes are slashed and he's playing 15, 16 minutes a game, I wonder what type of defenseman he is. Because
Yeah,
we got to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? We got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He was playing defense for the Vancouver Canucks, and that's really,
yeah,
really hard to do.
yep. And again, without structure and in a bad system, there's a number of reasons why it didn't work for Myers. But I don't think he'll be great in a third pairing role, but I'm cautiously optimistic because, again, we've just seen him for 4 years in Vancouver. They played the wheels off of him, and it's made
Yeah.
no sense because he's not a good defenseman. But maybe
Mm.
in a bit of a sheltered third pairing role, maybe there's something to give there. Like, there are, like, once in a blue moon, like, there's these moments from Myers where I'm like, oh, dang, that's why people like this guy. But like 97% of the time, I'm just like, what a waste of a hockey player.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
you know what, Bagsy? I do want to apologize for just cutting you off mid segment. You had a list compiled, and I just completely, put an X to it right away. I was just not frustrated, just don't have time for the BS right now. That being said, I am interested to hear the rest of these names because if I feel like I'm just interested. Maybe that there's some centers on this list, right? And maybe they don't come in the form of the Tyler Myers trade, but maybe it comes in the form of a potential UFA signing next season. You brought up Enrique, the guy's a UFA next
yeah.
season. So continue on the list.
Yeah, so I'll rip through it quick here. Only one more center actually, but so I got Anthony Mantha in Washington, 5.7 million. I think we talked about him in potential deals on the draft floor if Washington was looking to move off that salary. Mikhail Granlund in Pittsburgh making $5 million, but he's making $5 million for 2 more seasons.
Nope.
But yeah, probably not a fan of that. His game has fallen off, unfortunately, right? Like he's a good center. He's profiled as a good defensive center throughout his career, but with the extra year on it, it's probably not worth it for the Canucks. Another guy with 2 years is Ben Sherratt. Again, he's just overplayed. Very similar to Myers. He's just overrated and overplayed. I think he can be good in a third pairing role. But again, so he's signed at $4.75 million for 2 more seasons. But kind of looking similar as the bank, right? If you trade Myers for Sherratt, then you got an extra kind of 1.25, 1.3 million this offseason to go make a move and do something. And last but not least, I don't necessarily see the fit here, but I was kind of intrigued by it, and that's Tyson Barrie in Nashville. We've seen Barrie Trotz, target Ryan O'Reilly, target Luke Shen, target those veteran character guys. Now maybe they want to add, big old Tyler Myers to that blue line as well. They already got their offensive defenseman in Roman Josi. Maybe they want Dante Fabro to have a bit of a bounce back. And again, Tyson Barrie's only making 4.5 million. So don't necessarily see it happening, but that's kind of a name that caught my eye. And again, I was looking for players in that kind of $4 to $6 million range.
No, I hear you, man. And again, I'm just on that boat. If the Canucks are looking to save $1 million here to move Tyler Myers, and yeah, just waive him. Just waive him. Make it easy. Make it easy. Don't acquire no contracts. Don't do that. None of that. None of that. You're getting off this pretty easy at the end of the season. It is what it is. And maybe he's going to be optimized as a 6th defenseman. Yeah. And you brought up the point that, again, I'm not really connecting with because I feel like the Canucks are over with their player acquisition via the free agent route. And I know what you're saying. If they feel like they still want to make moves here, this is the only way they can really do it. And that's free up some cap space ASAP, get rid of Myers. But again, I think the Vancouver Canucks maybe would have done something like this sooner, like this week, if they didn't win, quote unquote, win on the guys that they targeted in free agency, like Susie, Cole, and Bluger. But there they were, and they got those guys. And 2 of the guys, they didn't even give them term. They just probably feel good. And I think Canucks fans, collectively, I feel as if we all feel good. We feel like this was the best offseason ever. This is the greatest offseason ever. We did it. We're accomplished. Let's go laugh at other teams, making mistakes. It's cool. Usually we're, in the Steve Yzerman position every year. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's getting the heat this year, and that's always us. And it's not us. And I just want the Canucks not to do anything and just leave it at be and let these guys compete for jobs in September. Hey, Locked On Canucks, okay? Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan, a little all over the place, working with the internet connection, okay? It happens, man. This virtual show. That being said, me and Beggsy probably going to connect when his family goes on vacation next month. And who knows what you and I will make when that happens. Who knows? Who knows? And who knows what's coming up next on Comet Corner. But before that, do we have any people to shout out here? Beggsy?
I'm just going to shout out you, buddy. Thanks for producing Locked On Canucks. Shout out to Kyle Bhawan. This show is brought to you by Kyle Bhawan.
All right. We back here on Locked On Canucks. Dude, we having a very inspired Tyler Myers / roster management conversation. And I think you need to say thank you to me because, as you can tell, I'm putting in the work right now, man. I feel like my hockey mind went from like 67, low C+ at the start of this program months back, and it's creeping towards the 80s, man.
Yeah, not bad, buddy. Like I said, how many hours are you through that 96 hours of YouTube videos I sent you?
Oh man, I'm through hour number 48. I'm putting in that work.
Halfway.
We're
halfway there.
Hey man, put it in the reps for Locked On Canucks. Get you there too. Okay, we're moving up the ladder because we do this stuff every day. It just practice makes perfect, right? That's what they say, right? Locked On Canucks, again, your team every day. Let's run comment corner. Okay, first comment goes to this guy, GS Keys, and this guy was looking into the future. Okay, he was looking into the future. I think he just mocked up the Canucks decor in 2025, 2026. Okay. Look at this. Hughes Hronek, Hirose Willander, Elias Pettersson, the defensive one, Hunter Stephen A. Smith, that guy, Yermo, I guess he's another prospect, and Truscott, that dude. Anyways, this guy mocked up this guy mocked up the decor in the future, man. He's put in the work, and I think he's optimistic. And honestly speaking, that top four, if Akito can, take the next step, and it's like a big leap, and I know that's asking for a lot, man, oh man, Stanley Cup parade, why not?
Woo! Hey man, that falls in line with your book, right? I think the Canucks win the cup in
Yeah,
2025, 26 in your book. So there
yeah.
you go, man. Maybe that's the decor to get it done. Look, thanks for commenting. Thanks for listening. I've seen these lists way too many times, right? How many times did like Tej Dollywall put a list on Twitter like,
Oh
"Oh, the future's
man,
so
look
bright.
at
Look at all these
you.
players."
Always
I'm
say
just
it, man.
saying, man.
Trevor
I'm just
Beggs
saying,
is
like,
the dark person on this program. He is so dark. He is so dark. The darkest person on this
jaded
program.
by fandom, jaded by my Canucks fandom.
Unbelievable. Come on, man. Second comment, okay? Comes from this guy with a really, really long domain. Oh, I think this is like a couple YouTube accounts. Steven and Dacey's journey. Beautiful, okay? Willander's realization that the game is a bit different in North America is really good, and he embraces the challenge, okay? In life, you got to embrace the challenge, okay? You got to embrace it. Don't doubt it. Don't run away from it. It is what it is. Just challenge it. And you can learn a lot from failure. That being said, I don't think Willander is failing, man. This guy's on a mission. This guy's on a mission. I think he's open to a little bit of failure and emphasis on little bit because I think he's the type of person, I'm going to put that out there, that he's going to be resilient, okay? He's going to learn, and he's going to learn quick, and then he's going to be the best even quicker. Tom Willander, man. Second greatest Canucks D-man in history.
Woo!
Why not? We kind of need him to be
the very best that
okay,
no
if you really
one ever was.
if you really think about it, think about that statement, okay? Tom Willander sort of has to be the second greatest Canucks D-man of all time for us to get our wish, and that's, win the Stanley Cup. It's just the truth. He can't be a Matthias Ohlund. He can't be an Alex Edler. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay? He's got to be what? He's got to get to that, what's like the most elite
Like a
number 2 D-man on a team. Like bring it up. Help me out here, okay? I was gonna bring up
I like what came to my mind was like with Pietrangelo, but he was like a number 1, or maybe like Pranko in his prime for St. Louis.
yeah. Okay.
Something like that.
How about Chris Pronger, Scott Niedermayer? Let's shoot high, okay? Let's shoot high. Okay,
So
why not?
Is Willander Chris Pronger in this? Holy, that's
Dude,
something else.
size doesn't matter. I'm just talking about,
Hey,
the
that's
quality of
true. Size
defenseman.
doesn't matter. Size doesn't
Size
matter.
doesn't matter.
Lady size doesn't matter.
We're talking about the quality of player, okay? Do we have 2 of those guys? 2 of those guys? For real, man. Comment number 3. Where's comment number 3? Okay, here it is. This comes from Marky Mark. Honestly, that was some ultimate trolling when Kyle was talking about Brussels sprouts being tasty. Bro, I'm telling you, okay? A little bit burnt, some great seasoning, and pour some honey over it. It's like it's so good. Dude, my girl she doesn't eat meat, okay? She eats no meat at all. So I've been trying a lot of different things over the last couple of years. A really big fan of falafels, a really big fan of Lebanese restaurants just in general. And yeah, big fan of Brussels sprouts. You know what I'm saying? I got to get used to it because I'm probably going to come home after a long day of work and maybe she's going to feel generous. She wants to cook for me and I'm going to come home to a Brussels sprout sandwich. That's the type of life you live when you're with a vegetarian, man. It is what it is.
Brussels sprouts and sriracha between a couple of slices of white bread. There you go, buddy.
Oh man, right? That's how they think, man. Those vegetarians, man. That's a meal for them. That's how they think, man. You don't need chicken. You don't need chicken. You don't need pasta. Come on, man. Broccoli smoothie. Anyways, there was another comment below Marky Marks, and it was from Harpoon. Okay, Harpoon, this guy just all over the place. He's taking swings, bro, trying to hit grand slams all over the place. And also, not a fan of some of our Swedish prospects / younger players. Okay, outside of Tom Willander, it's pretty obvious this guy hates Jonathan Lekaramäki and now Niels Höglander. Okay, they need to trade for a power forward with some snarl. Höglander and Rathbone as a package deal for an ELC forward with some grit. I think the Canucks need to get tougher. Don't get me wrong. When I'm looking at the roster and I'm comparing it to the best and, trying to get up there and long playoff runs, all that jazz. Yeah, of course, it needs to look different. But again, one step at a time. Don't got to be rational. Don't got to create this monster right now. Just make the right strides, off season to off season, right? One step at a time. And when it's time to remove skilled players from this lineup. You have to be bang on. You have to be for sure knowing that their potential. They're not going to over exceed their value. You got to be smart with these things when you're trying to trade those guys for guys like, I don't know. I don't want to say Ryan Reeves, but like, just like tougher players, like surrounding your lineup with some grit. You just want to make sure you're being smart and calculated. And right now, you don't have to rush into things because the Canucks don't need to be tough right now. They don't need to be that tough right now. Begsy, do you agree or am I talking out of my ass?
I completely agree, and I was thinking about investing for a second there. That's my day-to-day world, and there's a premium placed on heavy players, right? It's kind of like with like the clean energy stocks. There's a premium place on them. There's a premium price, and sometimes when there's a premium place on things like that, it's not always worth it. So I think when you're trading for a bigger guy, you just got to be really careful that he can
Yeah.
actually play hockey as well.
Yeah, you got to be 100% sure, especially if you're trading away potential skill. Niels Höglander, I don't. There's still a chance, that he's a big part of this organization moving forward. Okay, that was another episode of Locked On Canucks. Your team every day. Okay, every day, and that includes yesterday. Okay, yesterday we talked more about Tom Willander. It's pretty obvious Begsy and I can't get enough of Tom Willander. I think we're definitely putting it out there that, again, he was not only the greatest defenseman picked in the 2023 entry draft, he is now, he's going to do it. He's going to become the second best Canucks D-man of all time. Not a high standard, but he's going to be right there. And he's going to be the Chris Pronger to our Scott Niedermayer, or the Scott Niedermayer to our Chris Pronger, okay? I'm putting that out there. Anyways, Begsy, sign us out, okay? Sign us
Beautiful,
out.
man. Beautiful. Well, shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners. This is your first time listening. Welcome to the program. Coming up this week, or at least on the next episode, I do want to talk about the Canucks salary cap situation. How much salary cap space do the Canucks actually have going into next season? But for now, Kyle, this whole episode, you lagged for me, man. So, to the listeners,
We did our best. That was tough. I feel like we somehow connected and we somehow figured out what you and I were saying to each other. It happens. Your team every day, there's practice, and that was some telekinesis type of energy, okay? So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, telekinesis, man. He took the words right out of my mouth. But I got no words left, so we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bhawan, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.